Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. As today we head back to our employer of inconvenience to see what he has to say about our apparently entirely unanticipated success, which, based on our recent run-in with a certain Garth Bloodfeather, may have gotten very complicated indeed. We'll see how things play out, but, you know, ultimately, as long as we get Cass back and possibly a bonus Space Marine on the side, we'll call it a win. Is that him? The one who butchered the bloodstained proselytes? What an affront to the cult! The witch's lost face, and soon it may no longer be a figure of speech. Gross. But, you know, entirely within the realms of possibility. Especially where Drukhari are involved. Or Nicolas Cage. Haven't seen him around here, though. Oh, Tervantius, I have come to report my monumental success. I'm sure you're quite pleased. Tervantius rushes about the laboratory, snatching up certain tools, vials, and notes. He conceals some of these items inside his own body cavities, and destroys the rest. Oh, brilliant master, I killed those witches you wanted me to kill. Not sure what the big deal was. They actually went down pretty easy. The homunculus glares at you and roars furiously. This isn't what I desired. Not to this extent. The cult of the fatal thirst craves blood, specimen. Your blood. My blood. One must be astoundingly insensitive to the vibrations of the Dark City not to realize this. I mean, they're the ones who sent their people into the arena to die. I'm not sure why that's my fault. You humiliated them, monkey. Kikaros and I agreed that she would send fresh meat against you, but she decided to undermine my authority by sending out her best. You slaughtered them, and so it was the cult's authority that suffered. But who cares about a pathetic monkey? You are my lackey, and thus it is I who is responsible for undermining the cult's authority. Okay, so Drukhari power politicking aside, what I'm hearing here is that you sent me to kill witches, and now you're really upset that it turns out I'm really good at killing witches. Did you really not anticipate this as a possible outcome? It was supposed to go differently. Your performance was supposed to be a lesson in respect, not a declaration of war. You would have killed someone unimportant and made the witches' vanity bleed. The witches would have received your head as a salve for their wounded pride. They would have been reminded for a time that I was still someone who could greatly complicate their existence. Instead, you have failed me. All of you. Kikaros did not keep her word, and you did not die in her trap. It is all your fault that things have spiraled out of control. Yeah, sucks. Sorry I didn't die for maximum convenience. But you know what might help resolve your issue is you could help me escape the way we talked about. Give them someone to go after other than you. You hear mockery in the homunculus's voice. Forget the old promises, monkey. This is war. My loyal servants are being slaughtered across the chasm. I cannot take any more specimens away with me, and the ones I have already packed are far more valuable than you. Darn. And so unravel the rotten threads in the tapestry of fate. Elintak, here is the true nature of the Dark Ones, a lie hidden behind sweet promises. Having learned from a cruel mistake, I foresaw this outcome Okay, so what exactly is the plan here? You run away and I just stay here and kill more witches? I will leave the anatomical opera and withdraw to the spire of the reaving tempest. The witches won't dare to settle their scores under the eye of my patrons, so the Cabal's valuable servant is safe from their ire. As for you, yes, go out into the streets of the chasm and die, or go to the arena and try to kill Kikaros. Even if you succeed, you will still die. Honestly, not a terrible plan, minus the whole dying part. Certainly wouldn't mind killing more witches on my way out. Honestly, wouldn't mind taking this whole place down on my way out, but apparently it's just too pivotal to the central lore. The homunculus mutters furiously and haughtily. I should have stopped wasting time on this idiocy long ago. All those pathetic simpletons did was weaken my focus and distract me from my masterpiece. At last I can devote all of myself to it. So that's it then? You're just turning tail and running? You know, the whole reason you're in this mess is because you underestimated me in the first place. Why not double down? I've already killed Tazara and their bloody arena champions. You toss in with me. Maybe there won't be anyone left for you to have to run from. The homunculus's anxious movements slow to a halt, but the mandibles on his face twitch nervously. Unnecessary risk. This is not a hasty retreat, merely a temporary change of workspace. Tervantius becomes so absorbed in his thoughts that he starts shearing off pieces of his own flesh with his scissor-like claws. Enter the arena. The succubi will not pass up this chance to gut you in front of an audience. If you could simply wound Kikaros, it would give us both enough time to escape. For that, I would be willing to sacrifice the deadliest and most valuable specimens in my collection. Tervantius is silent for a few moments. To repay Kikaros for her treachery, I will send the Anguish Prospector to the arena. Our son. While the witches are preoccupied with ending your life, the Prospector will kill several of them. Regardless, it is too conspicuous for me to hide from the cult's huntresses. Let my creation perform the symphony of pain for which it was designed. If you manage to kill her, run. Sinistoria will not let such impertinence go unpunished, and her wrath is 100-fold more dangerous than Kikaros's fury. Do not return to the chasm. You will find no shelter there. Seek salvation in other spires, and you may prolong your agony for a short time. Or, I could just kill Sinistoria next, but, one thing at a time. Well, boss, I wish I could say it's been a pleasure, but it has at least been useful, attitude aside. That said, considering you're still intent on pulling a runner, you mind if I get my Lady Navigator back from you? I would strongly recommend you say yes, because otherwise I might have to invoke the termination clause on our tenuous contract. I cannot transport them to my new sanctuary. You may take them. I have unlocked the containment sarcophagi for dangerous specimens. Go and inspect them. Some of your servants may still be alive, but do not allow them to use their abilities until I have left the anatomical opera. Ooh, interesting. Yeah, I guess that's where he'd keep all of the psychic companions, since apparently they're anathema to the Drukhari. Hey, as long as you're having some sort of specimental breakdown, I've got a whole bag full of fresh parts here. You mind if I grab that Space Marine off you while I'm at it? Gervontius extracts a piece of flesh and nods. This will do. No, Garth. My keepsake. Oh well. Obedient specimen. So be it, you have earned a few minutes of my attention. But the answer is still no. This particular monkey specimen has phenomenal parameters. I previously studied 2 other specimens of the same breed, but have yet to untangle their genetic secrets. He also performs well enough in the arena. I will not part with the last specimen. Really? So by your own admission, he does well in the arena, but you don't want me to take him with me into the arena to potentially deal with both our problems once and for all? I've got to say, boss, I really thought you were smarter than that. Perhaps I was mistaken. Gervontius narrows his eyes. If you are so helpless, then what use was there in letting you live? Look, all I'm saying is, if you're already making a risky wager, you might as well go all in. Besides, you seem plenty capable of making all manner of monstrosities without aping monkey technology, right? What about our boy Angie over there? Perhaps the genetic subtype of all 3 specimens was defective, and this is the cause of my limited success. In that case, the loss of this specimen would not be significant. Very well. I recommend pain as a means of pacification. And you can take his armor. I found it entirely unintriguing. Gervontius hands you a bone key. Sounds like a plan. Ha! Bye, Iacos. Glad to see that you could serve an actual useful purpose. Hey, long as you're in a giving mood. You mind if I grab anything else while I'm here? You can't take it with you. Gervontius cringes squeamishly and mutters, "The mere thought of you tarnishing them with your filthy hands is revolting. But if it serves to ensure my safety, I will tolerate this obscenity." Oh, and here we go. Turvy, you have been holding out. Pitch Black Desolator, a unique dark light blaster. Sadly useless to us, but still looks like a lot of fun. Ceramite Xeno chestplate. Fairly high-end medium armor. If a bit one note. I mean, 66 armor is definitely nothing to sneeze at, but still. Heartseeker gloves. Whenever the wearer scores a critical hit for the first time in combat, damage is boosted by 50%. Effect resets after heroic acts or desperate measures. Nice little damage bump, but also very limited. I feel like we've definitely got better options. Swashbuckler's Goggles. The wearer's shots in melee range have a bonus to dodge reduction. That's fun. Not super useful for us, but still fun. Prey Scanner. At the start of combat, inflicts the prey effect on the enemy with the highest number of wounds, without spending a charge of Hunt Down the Prey. Also grants double Hunt Down the Prey bonus. Okay, well that is fantastic for any bounty hunter. Might have to make room for that on your Liette. Homunculi Injectors. Ossificators. Wraithbone Grenades. And Renunciation of Weakness. Unique Force Sword. Each crit scored with this weapon reduces Veil degradation and increases the wielder's willpower for 1 round. Also usual Force Sword effect. Obviously not super useful to us right now, but might toss that to Heinrichs. We'll worry about that once we're back on the RetconRaider. Gotta say, Turvy, we are getting dangerously close to pleasure doing business territory here. One sec, let me pour over this stuff, see if there's anything we can actually fit in. And we're back. And yeah, after going over all our options, it does seem like the Prey Scanner is the only new item currently worth using. At least that slots neatly into our build. It does come at a cost. We had to drop the Auspex, which means we're 10 points lower on awareness, but we should be fine. I feel like 170 is still pretty decent. And then aside from that, I did look at the vest, but apparently Pascal's is actually slightly better. At least for the first couple of rounds of combat. And then Argenta I'm not too worried about. We're almost certainly going to end up swapping her back out in the short term. She's decent in the field, but, you know, it's just, it does feel like there are more interesting characters we could have in that slot. Narratively. Speaking of which, let's go get our cast back. Execution engine. Well, that doesn't sound great. The torture device is locked and sealed. The thick walls of this container were clearly designed to hold something extremely dangerous. Yeah, that sounds like our casshole. Let's get her out of there. Lord Captain, help me, please!
Just a minor setback.
Sorry, Abby. Oh, you've exploded. I feel, at last, I feel something. You see horror and confusion in Cassia's wide-open eyes. Her face, neck, and hands are gruesomely scratched, and sticky blood is dripping from the tips of her claw-like fingernails. Why are there so many of you at once? Red, black, violet, scarlet, yellow, dark maroon. Away with you! Stop swarming my thoughts! Cassia clutches her head again, this time covering her third eye, but you can already feel the breath of the warp coming from its gaze. Valen, I cannot control it. The powers flowing through Cassia's fragile body make your head swim, and your hair stand on end. Your body is burning as if you have been doused with a volt of molten plasteel, and your head is teeming with strange whispers, shadows, voices. Every breath is a struggle, as though something is scratching at your insides, trying to claw its way out of your chest. Your gorge rises. You have survived being exposed to the navigator's open eye. But will your body and mind hold if it occurs again? Oh, that's what the blood's from. It's the Dark Eldar attendants. They are but paste. Now, Abby, why are you handling my persuasion checks? I mean, look, bud, I'm always happy to have your support, but in theory, I should have like 140 in persuasion. Argenta, you even dream about shooting Cass. You better wake up and apologize. Alright, well, I mean, we're almost certainly going to fail that check then. It's alright, Cass, I'm here. I'm sorry I couldn't find you sooner, but Things will be okay, I promise. Cassius struggles to focus her eyes on you. Unending streams of bloody tears are running down her cheeks. Forgive me, I did not want any of this. Leave, I beg of you. Go! I do not want to hurt you any more than I already have. An eerie chill runs down the entire length of your body. It is a feeling you forgot, but recollection swiftly follows. Someone else's turmoil and emotions, and a will that is not your own. This crushing wave is about to consume you. A haze of anger, despair, and fear smothers you like a burial shroud. But this is not the first time you have had to deal with a surge of foreign emotions assailing your mind. You wish you could die here and now. No, you wish you had never been born in the first place. You summon your will and push these thoughts away as though fending off a sword thrust. And Cassia's feelings dissipate before they can latch onto you. Oh, for goodness sake. I mean, better, but not great. Valen is literally our lead on logic. There's no reason he shouldn't be able to make this check. And it's intelligence-based, so I mean, it can't be the talent that's messing it up. I think for whatever reason, this particular event, even though he's the one personally handling it, it's excluding him but no one else, so that has to be a bug. Which is frustrating, because it feels like it's for a pretty important interaction. Just focus, Cass. You've dealt with this your entire life. You still have not realized, have you? A storm cannot be brought to heal. A fire cannot be forced to spare its victim. The sun cannot be commanded to rise on the other side of the horizon. Those are not things a person can accomplish simply by having the desire to do so. Even if that person is a daughter of a navigator house. Cassia suddenly straightens, and her gaze becomes impassive and blank. You know, when darkness envelops you, it takes everything away, leaving no sounds, no smells, no solid footing. Every color I tried to create inside. Darkness is withering. It swallows the colors. It chews and consumes. But when despair had overtaken me completely, I could sense I was not alone in that darkness. Someone else was with me. Someone intangible, cold, and colorless. And that realization ravaged my sanity all the more. Oh, interesting. Oh man, that's a bit of a throwback, but I do remember speculating, 50, 80 episodes ago, back when House Orselio visited us on Dargonis. We got that big lore dump about Cassia's predecessor, apparently a cruel and domineering monster who the rebels believed, despite her disappearance, intended to use Cassia as a weapon or perhaps even a host to herald her return. And this certainly would seem to play into that. It's actually kind of funny, since we've had similar thoughts about Pascal with Amarnot. When the capsule opened, my mind was drowned in grimy shades of crimson and umber and black, and I am going barmy, Valen. I thought I could harness this power, but now you must end this. For my sake, for your own, and for that of all that we have shared. If you do this, I shan't object at all. Cassia closes her eyes, unable to bring herself to meet your gaze. Her tremors subside for a brief moment, like a resigned victim going still in anticipation of the executioner's axe. Frigid heaviness hangs in the air. Your entire being implores you to run. Quickly. Now. Yeah, we're not doing that. You know, I'm not crazy about the skills bugging out, but this might actually, narratively, work. I mean, let's be honest, we've long since locked in on Cass as our romance of choice. Don't be absurd. I didn't fight so hard to get you back, just to give up on you now. Cassia freezes, startled by your touch, and your lips join together in a bittersweet kiss that tastes of blood and tears. You see terror in her wide-open eyes, but then her body relaxes, and her eyes close along with her navigator's eye. She reciprocates slowly, uncertainly, gently. Please, no more. I cannot breathe. I fear I may faint. And I fear if I let you go now, I might never find you again. No, I shan't leave. I promise. Cassia is not trembling anymore. Instead, she clings to your chest and rests her head on your shoulder. You can feel her heart pounding in a measured, sweet and calm rhythm. Oh, Valin. Taking an awkward step back, Cassia gingerly covers her third eye, as if afraid that she might unleash her soul's tempestuous powers upon you once more. You risked your life to save me. For a rogue trader, the ruler of a great dynasty, it was utter lunacy. It was irresponsible. Cassia's brow furrows indignantly, but her eyes are full of pain and despair. Your protectorate, your billions of subjects, they could have lost their sovereign in the blink of an eye. Yet you... What were you even thinking? Oh man, I'm not even sure which... I was thinking of them, but also that none of it meant anything if I went back to them without you. What could you possibly see in someone like me? Cassia's voice is almost a whisper. She looks away. That is an interesting question, but I feel like the answer is obvious. She's a creature of raw, almost uncontrollable emotion, tempered with logic, whereas, at least as we've established him, Valin is, or at least was, someone so traumatized that he became a creature of pure logic, but has only started learning how to feel again over time, perhaps in part because of exposure to Cassia. I was lost for a long time, but somehow you helped me find myself. Oh, I can never tell if you're being serious or speaking in jest. How could you find yourself in one who is yet to find herself? Cassia laughs quietly. And yet your words warm my heart nonetheless. An auspicious sign, dare I say? Yeah, I'd say so. And welcome back, Cass. Goodness, that was quite an event. Honestly, you know, I was a bit sore about the whole skill thing, and I will have to make sure I still report that, but I do feel like things ultimately played out for the better, which really does kind of lend itself towards the idea that, you know, sometimes failure, I guess, is what helps keep things interesting. Looks like Cass's gear has all been auto-equipped. She's got a couple of level ups in the queue, but I'll worry about that a bit later. And yeah, I mean, with no obvious hampering effects. I overstated our value earlier. I think I said 140, but we should have definitely swept those persuasion and logic checks. Were the game working as intended? But it's fine. It all worked out in the end. And made for quite an interesting interaction. Oh, what, Huh, that was weird. Just a wave of fresh injuries. Very strange. Perhaps the interaction catching up with us? Oh, right. Let me grab those two. Yeah, I feel like that whole interaction, unfortunately, may have just been buggy in general, but we got through it, so, you know. No real complaints, I suppose. So, Turby, you have anything to say about all this? Nah, you don't care. Of course you don't. Silly of me to assume otherwise. Alright, well, I'm gonna go take more of your stuff.
Rise to the top, or get left in the dust.
Fair bit of cargo, we'll take it, even if it is ultimately useless to us till Act 4. Oh, what's going on over here? Some sort of lever puzzle. Though a secondary concern for the moment. Let us collect our Ulfar. The red-haired giant does not stop singing under his breath, and does not seem to notice you, intent as he is on his bloody repast. Hey, sorry to interrupt, but I had a bit of a proposal for you. The prisoner looks at you expectantly, without stopping his chewing, but his expression shifts subtly, as if his affected crudeness of mind and manner has been replaced by focus and cunning. Brass tacks, I plan on killing my way out of here. Thought you might want to tag in.
Why would I be? You are a stranger. How can I trust you? You could be an enemy. Worse, you could be an idiot.
I mean, everyone's an idiot, just to varying degrees. It's all relative. Look, it just seems to me that a space marine and a rogue trader, two of the Emperor's finest, seems like a pretty natural fit.
Do you serve the Emperor? Or are you a puppet with the hand of that Xenos butcher up your arse? How am I to know whose words you speak? Yours or his? How am I to know what plot you're trying to draw me into?
The warrior raises his eyebrows. You know, that is fair. I have been working with Tervantius towards my own greater goals, but the important thing is, end of the day, we're going to be killing a lot of Drukhari.
Why didn't you say that at the start? What did you expect? Did you think you would have to set the slaughter under the bloodthirsty killer's nose, and it would rush off to do your bidding?
His expression of dull savagery changes to a mocking grin. I mean, not to put too fine a point on it here, my friend, but what do you have to lose? Look, I know the outside world's a big scary place, especially these days, but sometimes you just gotta buckle up and get out there and deal with it. For your own sake, if no one else's.
When I rip your insolent tongue out of your throat, do not ask why. This is why.
Ulfar flexes his muscles. his tone surly. Well, I've got to say, bud, you're going to have a heck of a time trying to do it from inside that cage. Look, I've got places to be, people to kill. Turvey said I could take you with. If you're looking for a chance to escape, this is probably it. If not, then, I guess, best of luck.
Gave? Well, if he gave me to you, step into this cage and take me. You think a filthy blasphemous Xenos could do whatever he pleases with me?
A hostile glint appears in Ulfar's eyes. His snarl reveals his long fangs. And you know that nothing good awaits you past those bars.
Come here, you wretch! You have hidden on the other side of those bars long enough! Come in here and repeat your filthy words so I can kick them back into your bloodied, stinking muzzle!
A wild, deranged expression comes over his face, its voice a harsh growl.
Fine! You got a rise out of me!
Inappropriate.
And from what I can smell, you did not soil yourself in the process. I respect those with courage. I can work with you.
Sure. Why not? There's no hint of a threat left in his voice. He wipes away tears and stops chuckling.
It seems Tarvantius is not as clever as he likes to appear if he's letting me out of the cage. The joke is on him. Good steel I have already. But if we are going hunting, I will need my wolf skin.
Ulfar rolls his huge shoulders, and you hear his joints crack loudly. He lifts his battle knife from the floor, decorated with scarlet runes. It seems to be his last surviving possession. He weighs it in his hand, wearing a skeptical frown. Also, yeah, Tarvantius, definitely the dumbest smart person I know. But again, it's all relative.
What did you say your name was?
Throwing back his head, he lets out a blood-chilling howl that I guess he didn't feel like voicing. One that contains the deranged mirth of evil spirits dancing on an icy cliff. A predatory grin blooms on his face. Hey, there we go. Well done, my friend. Oh gosh, wow, he's like half our level. Also, I have not pulled gear off Argenta. And we do still have Cassia's levels in the queue. Yeah, we might need to call it here momentarily. Just so I can get our party ship shape. I am thinking we dump Argenta, swap some of her gear over to Ulfar just to get him properly equipped. We have that Astartes chainsword, and I'm sure he can use her heavy bolter as well. Though, let's see if we can perhaps find some other things for him real quick.
I always keep my options open.
I do get the impression he's a warrior, so we'll keep an eye out for relevant gear. Here we go. Bead of Might. If the wearer has 8 or more action points at the start of their turn, they gain plus 30% damage for the rest of the combat. Which is a pretty fantastic bonus, though I'm not sure we have any builds that reliably generate that many action points. Iron Cape. Plus 10 agility and fellowship. Whenever the wearer's wounds should be decreased to 0 for the first time in combat, they are restored up to 50% of their maximum wounds instead. Well, that might be a good get for Cassia. I'll have to see what she's wearing. Long-range aim lens. Attack range increased by plus 4 cells. Okay. Simple, but potentially useful. And Homunculus's Prism. This prism-shaped Xeno artifact is made from a black metal that is oddly cold to the touch. The strange metal has no visible seams, buttons, or holes. Marked as a quest item. Interesting. What could we possibly use that for? The immediate assumption is some sort of key or activation device. I might have to, well, let's see what we've got on the other side here. I assume we have... Oh. Wow. Okay, well. Not really much of a puzzle then, because apparently we did it in 2 pulls. Fair enough.
Is there money to be made?
Provocative Emitter. Whenever the wearer dodges, they become a priority target for the attacker until the wearer's next turn. Ooh, that's interesting. Though not super useful for Abby because he's built to parry. Stinger Ring. Another underwhelming one-shot Digitech device. Fires a single stinger pod that inflicts very minor damage. Target must pass toughness or be stunned for 1 round. Spiked Boots. At the start of combat, the wearer inflicts bleeding on themselves. Whenever the wearer performs an area melee attack, they inflict bleeding on all hit creatures. Area melee attack also deals bonus damage. Scaling off what? Oh, off of how much they're bleeding. Interesting. Not ideal, but potentially fun for someone like Kibbles? That one's a maybe. We'll worry about that one later. We do have this weird prism as well, which must serve some inscrutable purpose. So I'll tell you what, given that we also have like 20 level ups in the queue, and we need to swap a bunch of gear around and such, this feels like a good place to call it. We'll hit the pause button for now. I'll go ahead and canvas this place, see if there's anything else we might have missed. Anything not nailed down that we can grab on our way out. I'll get those level ups dealt with, get Ulfar tagged in, familiarize myself with his build, and we will pick up here next time. As it really is starting to sound like we might be coming up on the end of Act 3. Kind of bonkers, considering Act 2 was like 80 episodes long, but I guess we'll see. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Eerie V23, Revenant, Alois, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Lady Shayna, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you can even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.
When I rip your insolent tongue out of your throat, This is why.